some athletic director type stuff, and that's made for a busy time. And sorry I hadn't been able to get with you here lately. I know we had some technical difficulties one time that maybe we've got that taken care of. You've got to take care of. I don't take care of anything when it comes to technical. I had to have a secretary show me how to do something again this morning. So that's us old people when it comes to technology. No, I'm doing great. Family's doing good, and we're just looking forward to playing the Cardinals tonight. My sister's a big Cardinal fan, so I hope I get some bragging rights tonight.
Dodgers hit the ball better last night. Mookie had 3 hits. It was like we had the show yesterday. It's like here's my Christmas in August list was Shohei Ohtani quit striking out as much. Freddie quit striking out as much. Mookie do anything on offense. Max get back into rhythm, and Teo start hitting home runs. And it was like bingo. I mean, it was like everything happened last night.
You got it all at one time, man.
Did.
Back off that a little bit, kind of space it out a little bit. But
yeah,
you
no
got
doubt.
all you wanted right there. No, it was great to and the Dodgers team. I didn't strike out as much as a team. You know, they were knocking off 13, 14 strikeouts a game there, and they were struggling. I don't remember what it was last night. I didn't have it in front of me, but I know it wasn't that many. So you're hitting the ball better. Like I said, Max is doing what he does. You know, getting the home runs. He's swung it pretty good since he's been back there. And we need Teo just to be himself. Teo just to be himself. And like I said, you know, same way Freddie Ohtani just Mookie. You just never know. We know how great a player all those guys are. You just never know when you see, you know, the best version of themselves now, whatever that may be. You know, but we know we're not seeing it at the moment from any of them. You know, even Ohtani's hit a lot of home runs, but he's striking out way more than he did last year. So, you know, all of them have some issues. But, you know, us as the eternal optimists, sometimes the coaches are negative Nancy's, but the eternal optimist says, dude, just think, if these guys get going, you know, we're starting to get some pitchers back. You know, the pitchers have done pretty well. The bullpen seems to be it's not doing bad at all. You know what I mean? Everybody has struggle moments, but it's not doing bad at all. We've, like you and I and everybody who loves the Dodgers, everybody wears Dodger blues, said before the year even started, you're going to rely on the offense here, and they hadn't been able to. I say that with the title for the best record of the National League as I say that. So, you know, they were last night. Maybe I don't know if the Phillies lost or not, but whatever, doesn't matter. The point being, well, I guess their second best record. I guess Milwaukee has the best record.
Yeah, Milwaukee.
But you know, but you're sitting there going, you know, we got an opportunity. You know, we know what this offense is capable of doing, but we also know that it's a baseball case, and there's a lot of factors that affect everything involved in baseball that could change things. So, you know, like I said, the sample size has gotten pretty big. It's going on for a while. You just hope that it doesn't continue with the inconsistencies here and there, up and down the lineup, and we get to see the best version of the Dodgers this year, whatever that may be. I don't have any expectations of how many home runs, but I do know this can be a devastating offensive team, and we'd like to see them get back to that.
So this team, to me, Coach, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just the way I see things. It just feels like its identity has to be on offense. We know the pitching is going to be this or that, but it just seems like everything feels good when the offense is playing good. Like, the Dodgers might win like 2-1, and then everybody thinks the Dodgers, so at least me, it's like, man, the Dodgers are struggling right now. Well, actually, if you look, they played good defense. They pitched well. They maybe didn't hit very well. So it just seems like, and we'll get into Freddie Freeman that you're seeing on the screen here in just a minute. It seems like the mojo to this team runs through the offense.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. Like I said, we talked about that a lot in the preseason and the start of the season, how, when we had all these pitchers injured, we're like, well, we should be okay because of the offense. And if you look at it on paper, which we know the game has never been played on paper and never will be, we'll still be able to overcome it. Well, it turned out it wasn't really that way. Again, I say all that with the idea we're still got the second best record of the National League. It's not like they fell off the face of the earth. They're still leading their division. I mean, so, man, when you can have some quote-unquote rough patches where you're struggling right there and you're still leading your division and you're still one of the top teams in the league, that gives you an idea of what this team's capable of. But, yeah, I think it's the offense. We saw it last year. I mean, the offense was carrying things, but when it come right down to it, You got to throw a 2-hit shutout in a bullpen game. Your pitcher's got to come through. Blake Trinan, I'm putting my hands on his chest. You're not going anywhere. You're standing there and getting this guy. I mean, all those things, but they all have to go together. You start moving runners around, that sort of thing. So you need to start clicking. That doesn't mean you dominate every night. It's Major League Baseball, the greatest players in the world. You're not going to dominate that every night, but you need to start getting them back to what you normally do in the situational baseball stuff. All phases, hitting, defense, and pitching. It's no secret how that's supposed to work.
It was a great night last night. Freddie Freeman, I tell you what, he was the true pro that he's always been. He hit behind runners. He scored runners from third base. He's been very hot as of late. Freddie Freeman, by the way, he looks healthy again. We said that his situational hitting was fantastic. Yep. He scored Ohtani in the first inning. He moved Mookie Betts in the third. 303 on the year, OPS 858, 444 in the last 7 games, 351 in the last 15. So Freddie Freeman, not just the hits, Coach. He looks right. He looks healthy, and he's situational hitting when he needs to, and then also he's driving in runs when he needs to.
Freddie is so valuable. It's no earth-shattering news here because of what you just said. He can do it all. We know he can hit the ball in the ballpark at times. That's not his number one game, though, but he can hit the ball the other way. They used to run the shift on him. He hit, ground ball to short was out of here, that sort of thing. So, he was always able to do some of that.
Well, we just actually lost Coach Holt, so I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but we will let me go ahead and get me solo here, and then we will go from there. So Coach Holt was talking about Freddie Freeman and some of the things that he did last night. Freeman again, well, there he is. There's Coach Holt is back now, so we're going to get him back on.
This is no technology guy there, but no, you're seeing Freddie hit the wrong button there. You're seeing Freddie. We know what he's capable of doing. He can do it all. He can hit the ball in the ballpark. He can move runners, but he's willing to do it all. That's the other part about it. I never forget what game might have been in Cincinnati. He came. I remember when it was. He came up, chance to win the game, bases loaded. He just hits a parachute out to left field. The guy almost made a great play on it, but he knew all he had to do was hit a base hit, hit the ball, and then the ball game's over. He won the game for the Dodgers there. So that's what the capabilities he has of, whatever it takes, he can do. Not every player can say that. I don't think Freddie has to bunt, but I'm just saying as far as moving runners, being able to hit behind runners, get the sacrifice fly when you need it, anything you do to get runners in, and that's what makes him Freddie. That's what makes him a Hall of Fame player that he is.
Yeah, Alex Freeland, I'll tell you what, he's come up and played really well. He came up, of course, he started playing third base the day that Max Muncy got injured. So the thing that's impressive about Alex Freeland, very good athlete, power potential. If he gets the ball in the air, he's very strong. But he had not played third base at all since like early May. And then Max Muncy gets hurt, and then all of a sudden he starts playing third base every day. Last night he played second base. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I'd ever seen him even play second base. But he's so this is kind of how the way that you used to always explain it to me, Coach. Alex Freeland's not a third baseman. He's not a shortstop. He's not a second baseman. What you used to always say is you're a freaking baseball player. So whatever the game of baseball asks you to execute, go out and do it. Alex Freeland is a baseball player.
It's kind of like that case and us old school guys. It's kind of the same thing. Where am I hitting the lineup? Who cares? Like I used to tell guys, are you in the lineup? First of all, you always have the opportunity for an idiot like me to move you up or move you down. But, first of all, you want to be in that 9 that are hitting, the 9 that are on the field. So, but Freeland, yes, how valuable has he made himself in that case? He can play the infield position. Some guy, he's a young guy. He's hungry, and he's learning, and he's talented. Obviously, he's in the major leagues. He's a freaking talented guy that can do a lot of things for you. So that's great. I agree with you. He doesn't look like he's, the moment's too big for him. It doesn't look like the game's too fast for him. He just needs to get that experience on the major league level. We've seen it before. We talked about it before. Matt Holliday was a better here in the big leagues average-wise than he was in the minor leagues. But he came in, he get that, the pitch is better. You get better pitches to hit. You also see better pitching, that can carve you up too. But he looks like a guy that belongs in the major leagues, right where he's at. The Dodgers have done a good job with him. And, you never know. Like we always said, Matt Holliday came up and Larry Walker got hurt. He never went he never went back down. Kind of the same thing. Sometimes it's just an opportunity for these young talented guys. They get their chance. and they get up there and like, this guy ain't going anywhere. You know what I mean? So he's proven that he needs to be, he's right where he needs to be, and he can help the Dodgers in several different positions.
What are your thoughts on him? Just seeing him. Of course, I've seen him a million different times. I've given my thoughts on him 1,000 different times. I think he has the capabilities of being much more than just a league average player at wherever he may be. But your quick thoughts on seeing, of course, you saw him in Oklahoma City and Tulsa quite a bit too. But having seen him there, that version of Alex Freeland, and now the version of Alex Freeland that you've seen at the major league level, just kind of your overall thoughts from a guy who's been in the game your whole life.
No, I think he, like what you said, he's got the opportunity not just being a guy. I hate saying, if you're in the big leagues, you're not just a guy. But we do know there's your elite, there's your stars, and there's your everyday guys. To me, it's kind of like, well, you guy's just a backup core in the NFL. Yeah, he's getting paid millions of dollars to be a backup. Yeah, he's still there. So this guy looks like he has an opportunity to be more than just a guy. Maybe on down the line in his career, maybe an all-star. Because does he find a position? I think probably at some point he will. They'll hone in on position. But on the other hand, if they don't, he's even more valuable. I mean, we've had, the Chris Taylors of the world and what we've done, Kike, the guys that have made a career out of being able to do a lot of different things, he could be that guy also. But no, he totally looks like he belongs there. He just needs the bats, Case. He just needs reps, whatever you want to call it. He needs to get touches. Everybody has a word for it now. Get some touches, get some reps, get some at bats. That's all Alex needs. But the great part is he doesn't look overwhelmed. He don't look overmatched. He just needs to get some playing time. So the sky's the limit with this guy. It looks like.
I totally agree about that. Alex Freeland is very good. So if you look at last night, and it was welcome back Max, no doubt about it. Welcome back Teo to hitting home runs. Welcome back Mookie. But kind of what I wanted to get into tonight is you got the full Max Muncy experience. The 2 runs early on were unearned because you have an error by Muncy at third base. Tough play, but a major league third baseman needs to make that play. Then you get the home run. You have all the offense. So it's like the Blake Snell experience. It's the Max Muncy experience. You get the offense, you get the energy. And I'll say this, okay? It just seems like now, of course, you have the Hall of Fame 3 at the beginning, and you need those guys to contribute, no doubt about it. But I kind of, earlier I said that it feels like that the mojo of this team runs to the offense. It feels like the offense itself actually is ran by Max Muncy and Teo Hernandez. And what I mean by that is when Max and Teo are hitting, it just feels like this becomes an offense that could be kind of up and down to an offense that is just a juggernaut like we saw last night. It seems like those two are the key.
I know we talked about that before. Is it just coincidence that when Max went down, when the Dodgers when he got hurt,
right,
that they started struggling? You're sitting there going, I can see if Mookie's out or actually Mookie and Freddie or Ohtani. Ohtani hadn't been hurt, but there is some. There is something as far as pitching was. But I'm just sitting here going, we were doing pretty well, and Max was hitting well. He goes down and he starts struggling. So there is a lot of truth to what you're just saying right there. And Teo, like I said, he hadn't been the guy that we know he can be. Again, we're not expecting him to do what he's not capable of doing. Just do what you normally do. 25 home run guy, hit around 250, 260, whatever it may be. Just be that guy. You don't have to be the 3-hole hitter, that sort of thing. So there's a lot to that. I mean, you said, who knew that when Max Muncy went out that it signaled trouble for the Dodgers?
Especially back in whenever it was. Yeah,
the third base defensive play wasn't as good. I know he's got his limitations. I'm not saying that, but we had some struggles at third base while he was out too. Not just counting losing his bat. So it wasn't. I mean, you think, well, this is Max Muncy. This isn't Ohtani, but there's a lot to it. He struggled when he went out.
Yeah, and I said yesterday, I'd see if you agree with me here, Coach. Of course, Teo is a big part of this offense, and he's been injured, but his strikeout rate's it's at 24%. That's lower than it has been the last 4 or 5 years. And we're the exact opposite because we like the more dynamic, the guy that hits for contact, that puts the ball in play, 2-strike approaches, line drives, base hits, hard ground balls, line drives, that kind of thing. We do not like the boomer bust profile, although we're willing to have a Jack Clark in the middle of our lineup, at least one or two. You got to have one or two of those guys. So my opinion is that Teo needs to be Jack Clark. I would rather Teo strike out more than he is right now and hit more home runs than not hit as many home runs and try to think more contact-wise. I think we have the ability with both him and Max to have those boomer bust guys to whenever they're going good like they did last night, this offense does score 12 runs. I would rather Teo be hitting more home runs and striking out more. That's a weird thing to say, but do you agree with that at all?
I do. We talked about that, especially with Max, being run producers.
Yes.
We need those guys to be run producers. You know, I'm the old school. I hate strikeouts, but I get it anymore. You know, you got guys that they're going to because they're seeing 98 plus every freaking guy that comes in, everybody out of the pen, every starter, whatever anymore, you know, what they're seeing. But, you know, you need those guys need to be run producers for the Dodgers. There's going to be some strikeouts there. If you have, I agree with you on that. You know, you don't want them all the way, you know, 1 through 9 being boomer bust guys. We've already talked about that, but I don't know that they are. You know, I think you got an opportunity. But those two guys, were they hitting the lineup? And well, I know Teo's hit a little higher in the lineup here recently, but were they going to be hitting the lineup? Yeah, give it. Hey, how about bring the thunder, as we call it? You know, just bring the thunder, bring the fireworks to the offense. And you see it last night, and you see what this team's capable of doing.
100%. So we're going to get to Emmet Sheehan here in just a second. Let me actually get his slide up here on the board. Coach, you're actually not seeing these. Let me actually get this where you can see these. Emmet Sheehan, your thoughts on him, Coach? I thought he was very good last night. Let me actually get to some of his numbers. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. I think we would take that from Emmet Sheehan any day of the week, twice on Sundays.
It's great to see these young guys come. I mean, we've talked about, I think the last time we were together, we talked about Sheehan. He's just coming into himself. To me, it's like Robleski looks like he's coming into himself. They're establishing a role on the team, a very valuable role, especially with Sheehan being a starting pitcher, especially since Dustin May's gone and some things. You know, you still got some things in the works, getting some guys back and what have you, and some guys who just got back. So, you know, but Sheehan, it seemed like I don't know, I probably over-exaggerate, but every time he comes out, he shows you something else. He's a little bit better, you know, in a different situation. I'm not talking about throwing harder, but throwing more strike. He
throws a couple more change-ups, or he lands them, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Just subtle. You're going, hey, that's pretty damn good. You know, I mean, you're all of a sudden thinking, you know, and I know we're going to talk about him again, you know, here probably later, the same way with Vesia. I sat there last night about half asleep when Vesia came in. He threw 1 pitch, got out of the inning. That dude, just his body language. Yeah. Not only the results on the field, that dude comes to pitch. I know you're going to talk about him here in a minute, but Sheehan, you're seeing the same thing with him. The competitive fire, the willingness to attack hitters at times, and you know, and a plan. He has a plan what he's doing. I know it's not just him; it's all the whole staff and catchers and pitching coach and Dave and everybody's involved in that sort of thing. But he's coming into his own, and it couldn't happen at a better time for the Dodgers.
It absolutely could not. So Sheehan last night. One thing that I'm typing here on TikTok, we have a wonderful crowd here on TikTok, Coach. By the way, we have an incredible down the farm. We have Bobby Miller's relief outing last night. We have Julian Hernandez. We have the debut in a Dodgers, well, not a Dodgers uniform, but in the Dodgers system in Serwinowski, who threw last night for the Great Lakes Loons. He didn't give up any runs. We have the outing from Jackson Ferris. We've got a good night from Chris Newell. We have our boy Zach Earhart, who has been tearing the baseball up. He just got out of bed. He actually came out of the womb, I think, hitting baseball. Yeah. Zach Earhart can flat hit. And then we have a lot of good action. Hey, we have Chin Shing Ko down at Rancho. We have a home run from Chase Harland from Rancho as well. So we have a jam-packed down the farm show for you after we log off with Coach Holt. So make sure and stick around for that. So one thing you mentioned, Coach, about it, you were spot on with this. You see something different with these young guys every time. Actually, let me flip back over to me here. Okay, they couldn't see me there. So every time these young guys come out, it seems like you see something a little bit different. 1 or 2 things. I haven't seen that before. Oh, that's cool. That kind of deal. So last night, Emmet Sheehan usually likes that right and run fastball up and into righties, up and away to lefties. What he was doing last night is he had that Greg Maddux hop back over the plate pitch. So he would start it at the front knee. I'll never forget it. This is like 1985. Bill Madlock got hit with a pitch in the front knee, and I was like, what a dumbass. Why didn't he just get out of the way of that pitch? And then Joe Garagiola is the game of the week. Him and Vin Scully were announcing it. Joe Garagiola said, Well, he had to stay in on that pitch because it was a slider, and he had to wait and make sure the slider, and then there was just a slider that didn't break, so he got hit. And I was like, that was my introduction to just how nasty trying to hit those kind of pitchers are.
Yeah.
So I say that to give a visual that Emmet Sheehan would start that four-seam that looks like a two-seam almost end where it looked like it was going to hit the hitter, and then that tail would hop back over the plate. The beauty of that is it had the exact same east and west shape as his changeup. So literally it had the exact same shapes. They were shaping the exact same way from left to right. It's just that one was 96 and the other was 88. So, I mean, you talk about the exact same shapes, but at 8-mile-an-hour difference, that is literally the difference of what you call pulling the string. That's very impressive for a young pitcher.
Yeah, the hitter's clueless on that. I mean, even the big league hitters, the greatest hitters in the world, are going to have trouble with that. That's what I was talking about. You just see when a guy goes out there and you just watch him, you're like, good Lord. I mean, there's just, it just looks different. There's a lot of ways to look at that, what you just said right there. But, yeah, the shape of things right there, when you're pulling the string on guys like that, they don't know if fastball. I mean, that's when you're sitting there looking at a guy going, like we said a minute ago, he's coming into his own. Emmet Sheehan gets better, seems like every time he goes out there. I mean, that was a good start last night. 4 hits in 5 innings and only walked one guy. So, gave himself a chance, gave the team a chance to win, and they did. Once the offense got going, they really won pretty handily. But yeah, that's a great sign. That's kind of what we've been talking about. You've seen these young guys. Like I said, Robleski's had a bunch of great outings. I know he comes in off Ohtani a lot, because he can give you some length after that.
Yes.
But seems like he's getting better every time he comes out.
Yes.
And even Vestia's getting better every time he comes out there. That guy, oh my God.
He's good.
You get in a street fight, you want Vestia by you.
Yeah, no
guy's
doubt.
ready to go. He's ready to hook up. And what a great mentality for a guy coming out of the pen in tough situations. That's the guy you want, that bulldog situation. Like Joe Kelly used to give us. Now you got Vestia from the left side giving you that same thing. No fear. Let me have them, as your dad used to say, blowing snot coming out of the chute, just like a bull, blowing snot coming out of the pen, baby. That's what you like to see.
Yeah. And your thoughts on Max Muncy? I meant to cover this just a minute ago on when we were talking about Max Muncy, but getting the day off today, of course, you have a lefty on the bump, and then also, coming off a rehab. You're not a believer in days off. Hey, man, you're my guy every day. You need to post every day. But then you also kind of are from a strategic perspective. You like to do it in an intelligent way. So your thoughts on Max Muncy getting the day off today?
I think it's good, because I'm not a trainer. You and me have been, amateur trainers in our career at some point if we didn't have a trainer. But
yeah, we're the trainer because we're the coach and we're the highest authority there. Yeah.
Yes, I've taped a lot of ankles, Case. I know
Yes.
you have too in basketball and baseball. But anyway, we're amateur trainers. But, yes, he's coming off a rehab stint with Oklahoma City and working his way back, and he's coming out here. He had a big night last night. But I'm sure the medical staff's still evaluating stuff. I mean, I'm sure they're still going, okay, he's this workload's here. Where is he there? I mean, that's how good they are. They can check the mobility, make sure everything's back. I don't know that he's back 100%. He's pretty damn close, it looks like, but they know that. They know what they're looking at. And, after a big night right there, and you got, like you said, you got a lefty out there, give the guy a day off, especially when Freeland can, that's the other part about it. You feel a hell of a lot better putting Freeland over there, whoever they put over. I hadn't seen the lineup for today, but, I like that in that situation. Yeah, you like those aren't, the Lou Gehrig days are over, since Cal Ripken.
And I'm not sure that
put that out of the situation.
To go to that, I'm sorry, Coach, but that just brought up a point.
Yep.
The Iron Man deal, Lou Gehrig deal, when you're talking about playing every single day,
Yeah.
I think Cal Ripken would have been a better player if he had have taken days off.
No, you're right. I totally agree with you. You're sitting there going, there's days the guys shouldn't have been playing. There's got to be days, that he just tweaked an ankle or,
Yeah. Or you're just tired. You just shouldn't be playing that day. You don't feel good. You're sick, something.
Yeah, you play in the big leagues. You played 12, 13 days in a row, maybe not game day. I mean, it's amazing what he did. But like you said, I'm sure there was some wear and tear there. But even though he went for a long freaking time, the Iron Horse, that's why you don't see that very often. And you'll never see it again what Cal did. what Gary did. You'll never see that again because
and like rightfully so. I don't think it's productive.
The right thing. It is, and that's a good thing because guys are smarter. The training is so much better now. Nutrition, they take better care of these guys. The training staff is amazing. They've got everything they need to take care of their bodies, and it's just stupid sometimes just to keep running them out there. I used to always tell guys, you probably heard me said, guy, I want to play today, coach. I say, John Wayne gets us beat. By that I mean, I love the fact you're a tough guy. I love the fact you don't give a damn. I'm kind of nicked up, but I want to play. But also, you put the ball club in jeopardy because you're not 100% out there. So there's always that fine line of, hey man, I know you want to play, and you can tell the coach I ain't coming out. All the crap we've all done, but at some point, John Wayne will get us beat, in an athletic situation because he'll try to play when he don't need to be playing. So, like I said, that's why the training staff's so good, and they're going to help make those decisions. Sometimes I don't know how much they do this. I know we do it in high school. They just tell them you're not playing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that goes on the big leagues. I'm sure at some point it does because the liability also with a player, you're talking about multi-million-dollar players. You don't want to get in a situation where you let a guy play that shouldn't have been playing, and all of a sudden lawsuits pop up. I know that doesn't happen very often, but it could.
Yeah. Mookie Betts, and by the way, also another factor of that is you have a day game after night game. The Dodgers are playing here in just about a couple of hours. So, boy, wasn't it good to see Mookie Betts get 3 hits last night. And just kind of here was the progression of that. We always laugh and joke at on the football level because you only play 1 day a week. Monday you suck and this team fire the coach and the offensive coordinator calls the same damn plays and the defensive coordinator can't stop a cold, that kind of deal. By Tuesday, you're like, well, okay, who do we have next week? And then by the time you get up to Friday, you're like, we're going to kick the crap out of this team we're playing, right? I mean, that's kind of how the whole progression goes, is that you just kind of run that gamut of emotions.
Yep.
That's what it reminded me of with Mookie last night. The first hit that he got, you could see that down the left field line, it was relief. It was like, thank freaking God that I got this hit.
Yep.
And by the third hit, it had turned from relief back into excitement. So you have dumbasses like me that come on the air on YouTube that are like, put him in the 9-hole and challenge his ass and tell him, I don't care if you're pissed about it or not, prove me wrong, right? So then he goes out there, and Coach, that he hears, say what you want. These guys hear the noise. I talked to a major leaguer just about a week ago, and that major leaguer point blank said, I have no social media because I looked at it too much and it affected me too much because everybody wants somebody different every time you go for 3.
Yep.
So trust me, these guys hear the noise, they hear the chatter. Mookie Betts has heard it. So, and his competitive brain, he was like, screw you guys, I'm going to prove all you bastards wrong. And at least for one night last night, he actually did it.
Yeah, you don't get to be Mookie Betts and be where you are because you're weak mentally. You know what I'm saying? You don't get there to get to the level that Mookie Betts has gotten in the major league level because you're weak mentally. Yeah, he's struggling. He knows it. Hell, he's not stupid. He gets it. But every day he's working every time he gets a ballpark. What do I need to do to get better today? We don't know. I mean, he had 3 hits last night. He may jump up and just get on a run here, and next thing you know, guys up, you're like, good Lord, he's carrying the ball club. I mean, he has that type of capability. So you don't know what spurs a guy on, even on the big league level. But, yeah, that relief, that first one, then by the third one, it's almost like, yeah, here it is, baby. King Kong is, Denzel Washington said in Training Day. King Kong ain't got nothing on me. You know what I'm saying? He had that look like, I'm coming back. And you hope
the confidence came back. It was obvious.
You hope it carries over. There's that confidence. I got 3 hits. Here I come. Now I'm getting out of this right now. And I'm sure he's thinking that we woke up this morning. Okay, let's go. I can't wait to get back out there and get it done. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. The beauty of baseball is when you're struggling, you get to try to do it again the next day. Like in football, when you lose a bad game, it sucks because, you just have to – first of all, you have to wake up at 6 o'clock on Saturday morning and break down film all day long. And you're sitting there going, doesn't make it. I mean, we wake up at 6 o'clock, we're going to be here till 3. And none of it makes it, Dan, because we suck anyways. I mean, that's how you're thinking the whole day. That you're evaluating the film and putting your next game plan together. So it really sucks in football. So the great part of baseball is whenever you're not playing very well is you get to do it the very next day. So you don't have a whole lot of time for negative thinkers sometimes to sit around and stew about it and be all too negative. But that's also the opposite of it. The bad part of that is he doesn't get to sit around for a week and think, oh, that was a good game, and boy, I've got things back on track. You got to come right back out tonight against an incredibly difficult pitcher and Matthew Liberatore for the Cardinals, and you got to do it again. That's how hard baseball is you got to do what Mookie did last night, which we know is very hard. Then the very next day, a day game after night game against a totally different pitcher, a great pitcher in Matthew Liberatore, you got to come out and duplicate it. This game is so hard.
We said many times, and everybody knows, it is so hard to be good at baseball.
It is.
And when we talk about good, we're talking about 30%, right? You're a 30% hitter. Shoot 30% from the free throw line and you get cut. But so there's nothing like it. Yeah, he can go out today and go 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. He ain't going to, but it could happen. Or he can go out and go 3 for 4 again, and you're going, hey man, it's coming on. The ball looks like as we used to say, looks like a beach ball coming in. All of a sudden,
instead of an aspirin.
Instead of an aspirin, everything. The game slows down. Everybody has a term for it. It's all the same thing. The game's slowing down for him. It's not too fast for him. Well, Mookie Betts is way past that level. He's been a big leaguer for a long time and knows what it takes to be successful. So you just hope that, he's probably thinking today, here I come. Like I said, King Kong, man, here I come. You guys thought you got rid of me, but I'm back. And that's the way, I'm sure that's the way, I don't know the guy. Maybe he walks into a ballpark like that every day. Yeah, I know I ain't hitting him, but here I am. I'm Mookie Betts. That's a great. He probably. I don't know the guy. He seemed like a great young man. I'm sure he does have something. He's not where he is because he's soft. There's no doubt about it. He's got. Everybody's like, oh, guy's pretty good, but he's cocky. Hell, everybody. Any of those guys in the big leagues are cocky. They have to be. They wouldn't have got there. I don't. Mm-hmm. You don't. There's a
supremely confident.
Confident and cocky is two different things. You're cocky and you don't. Do anything. That's one thing. But if you got confidence because you've done it and you know what it takes to do it, which is where Mookie Betts is.
Yeah. I'll tell you a guy who probably isn't as confident as he normally is, but he runs on one of the most confident young men I've ever been around is Dalton Rushing. And it's obvious he's struggling. He's never been in a role like this. The sporadic at-bats make it very difficult. So imagine being the number one prospect in the number one organization, maybe in all sports, and then you have to do the number one hardest thing in all of sports, which is hit a baseball, and you only get to do it like twice a week. And then you have all these expectations coming down on you, and then maybe you hit a ball hard and it's right at somebody. You can only imagine what Dalton Rushing's going through right now. So he's going through it. I'm telling you right now, Dalton Rushing's going home at night just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. As confident as he is, this is a way harder role than. Thankfully, Dodgers fans have understood this. I'll give Dodgers fans, especially Dodgers fans, I would give Dodgers fans A+ on understanding the difficulty level of what Dalton Rushing's trying to do and not coming down hard on him because of it. But man, he's going through it right now.
Well, it's like we talked about when Gavin Lux was here. Oh, by the way, you're changing. We're going to change your position in spring training. By the way. On the bigger level. It's the same thing we're talking about. That's a tough role he's coming into. And you, by the way, you are the backup catcher. There's, you are. That's what you are right now. We don't have another one. So, you get in here and you've got to learn,
Yeah, we just traded Fiducia, by the way. So you're it.
You're it. Trial by fire. You come on in and, he's got, but it is so tough because you don't get at bats every day, Case. We talked about that before. He needs to get reps, touches at bats, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. When you're struggling and you only play every 3 or 4 days, maybe 3 or 4 days before you play again, that's a tough thing, man, because he comes out every day and puts the work in like everybody else. But if he's not getting in the game, that sort of thing, those are such tough roles, especially being a backup catcher, because you're going to get playing time. You might be a backup, center fielder behind Ken Griffey Jr. and never get on the damn field. You get to pinch hit once in a while. But, you're going to play because you got to – Will Smith's one of the best hitters in the league, best catcher in the league. You got to give him some rest, especially in this time of year when, we're kind of past the dog days, but really not. And especially here in Oklahoma, it's just now getting hot. But, you still have those days. So that's such a tough role. I'm like you. I think I know the Dodger our guys are in and ladies are intelligent. They get what's going on here. Anybody who's going after that kid don't know. First of all, they don't know how tough it is. Second of all, they don't know the game very well.
Yeah, totally agree. And this is also why I defended Austin Barnes so ferociously until the Dodgers decided to get rid of him, which, hey, that was a business decision. I don't think they got rid of him because I think it was more so they felt like they had Dalton Rushing coming, and so they just had to figure out something to do with Dalton Rushing. It'd be nice to see Austin Barnes. I know he got released by the Giants. It'd be nice to see Barnes. I know we have a comment here from CNAV. Maybe the Dodgers pick him back up to a minor league contract and send him to Oklahoma City. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
It would be cool. No, we love Barnes. We love Chris Taylor. You had some, things that you didn't like, but you love those guys. They were true big leaguers that did a lot of things for him. Yeah, Barnesy. Yeah, it's the same thing, man. It's like being it's somewhat like being a backup quarterback, but probably a good chance you're never going to play. But when you do, you're expected to produce. If it's the Green Bay Packers back in the day, Bart Starr goes, who cares? We're going to go win a world title, and you got to produce. So it's just kind of the same thing. You don't get as many opportunities, get many chances, but yet you're expected to produce. So there's expectations and everything, but the backup roles. It's unbelievably hard for the especially they took him out of the minor leagues and put him in the backup role. You could have been a backup catcher. Some other major league team that came over is one thing because you get that experience. But he went from being the starting catcher in the minor leagues to you're backing up the best catcher, maybe the best catcher in baseball right now.
Yeah, went from just being not only just getting in the lineup every day, being in the lineup every day for every team he's ever played, going back to T-ball. Yep. But being the dude, I mean, like the teams are relying on you.
Yes,
and that's a role that Dalton Rushing cherishes. So just being a role player, getting to play every so often, this is a totally new thing to him. So a guy that I tell you what, he's my boy. I love him. I communicate with him on a fairly consistent basis, and he's one of my all-time favorites because I've seen his grind all the way back to North Carolina, and then with Tom Penders there at the University of Connecticut, and then all the way from his climb from Rancho to the LA Dodgers, which has not been linear. It's been ups and downs for Ben Kasparius. I'm a little bit worried about him right now, Coach. Ben Kasparius is leaking just a touch. He's been leaking for a while. So your thoughts on him?
Well, not beating around him every day, but we go back to the same thing. We're talking about that confidence level. There's that confidence that you have when you're having success. It also goes the other way sometimes when you're not having success. The doubt goes in. That's human nature. These guys are, don't forget, they're still human beings. There's that doubt that creeps in there. I think I feel pretty good about it, but I'm not really sold on it, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm a little worried about him myself. He tends to be, struggling quite a bit actually in the last few innings he's thrown. So, yeah, there should be a lot of concern right there. He's still one of our guys, but we need to see a little bit better, some better performances out of it. But it's not. It's because he's not. It's not because he ain't trying. We get it. He's putting the work in every day, and he's getting a lot of work from the ball club. But yeah, I'm like you. I've got a little bit of concern with him.
Yeah, I mean, 3 hits last night, which I don't know how he didn't give up a run last night. He came in, he got the up down, so he split 2 different innings. But in the last 15 outings, 31.1 innings. 7.47 ERA, 19 strikeouts, and 9 walks. He's given up 42 hits in his last 31.1 innings. So I'm a little bit worried about Kasparius. And when I say worried, it's like, we talk about the trust tree. We've talked about that several different times. I personally think we've talked about Jack Dreyer climbing that trust tree.
Yep.
We said last time he's just kind of entering into it. I think Jack Dreyer's squarely in the middle of the trust tree right now. Jack Dreyer has been simply fantastic. I think I don't like to compare players, but I think he is just below Alex Vesia as 1 and maybe 1A as far as the lefty relievers on the Dodgers team.
Yeah, and you can see it. You can see the confidence from the coaching staff and Dave Roberts and pitching coach Mark. I mean, you can see it. You can see it in them that they're wanting that they got all the confidence in the world. And I mean, he's his ERA's under 3. I mean, the guy, it's way under. It's quite a bit under 3 in the last 30 innings he's thrown. So he's it goes back to the same thing we was talking about. You get these guys, that as they come in, you see them, they're really still at the start of his major league career. He's really being that guy. You're sitting there, you're going, he's starting to get it. You see it, like I said, with Sheehan, you see it, Robo, you see these guys, they're like, hey, there's something there. Because that's tough, especially when, some of those guys were going up and down at one time. They're really not. Dryer ain't going up and down now, and I don't know that Robo will be either. I don't know if what their plans are with him, and Sheehan sure as hell isn't going up and down. So, there's that, as you mentioned, you call it the trust tree. I know Dave calls it the trust tree. They're definitely right in the middle of that. He's at the top of it.
I would agree. And the thing about Kasperius, too, this is why Dodgers Dawgs is absolutely the most elite the chat out there 100% is we have a great comment from CNAB. Working out the bullpen's tough, Coach, because if you give up like 5 runs in one inning and one outing, you don't string together enough innings to be able to have your ERA recover. And then because you have such short outings, it's like 1, maybe 2 innings at a time. If you're wanting to work on refining a pitch or trying to tweak your grip here or there, you just simply don't have time to do it. It's kind of like I have what I have. I have to go live with what I have. And so it's hard to make adjustments. It's like in football. The football people always want football coaches to replace personnel in the middle of the season, and the coaches are trying to tell them, well, by the time the guys have to recover, it's damn near Tuesday before you can even actually really practice, and then we only get 2 practices. So it's really difficult to replace somebody in the middle of the season because you don't get enough reps in real live action. That kind of reminds me of a bullpen guy. So when you get stuck in a rut, it sometimes can be hard to get out of as a bullpen arm.
No, we talk about the ERAs when you see an ERA at a bullpen, either way, if you see one at 1.25, it's probably because he had that whole lot of reps, or he's just dominating everybody, which is the case with some guys. But it's the same thing, sample size. You come in and you don't give very many, don't face very many hitters, you give up a couple runs, all of a sudden your ERA skyrocketing. So you don't look at that. I'm sure the staff is looking at what we look at, the results. I'm looking at the results and what your role was that night and how it went. That's all I'm really concerned with. Numbers they just are numbers at that point. At some point, I know it goes back into analytics, but I'm not a big analytics guy. I go off field what I see, and you get the idea. And I know these guys do too. Dave and them do as well. Even though they got all the information in the world they need, they're still going to go off field in what they see. And again, when it comes right down to it.
Yeah. It does. You mentioned him here a minute ago. I have been saying this for almost 2 years now. People used to give Alex Vesia the worst time. It's like, I don't know what it was about Dodgers fans. They just did not like Alex Vesia for the longest time. It took Vesia way longer than it should have to be in the trust tree of the Dodgers fans. Thank goodness he is in the trust tree of the upper admin and the front office and Dave Roberts long before he was the fans. Alex Vesia has been just absolutely elite this year. He was elite last year. He's elite mentally. He's inspiring to watch. He's exciting to watch. He's the guy that I think he can create momentum for the other side of the ball because it's like, come on, let's go, that type of thing. Alex Vesia is elite, Coach.
No, I don't think he's anything about it. Like I said, it was last year. He's this year. It just proves that Dave and them, the staff, which they should, they see them every day, they knew exactly what they had. Even when there have been maybe people bitching about it, maybe me and you, hell, I don't remember, probably at some point, but they knew what they had there. They knew the guy's makeup, his mentality, they knew his stuff. And now you look at him, like I said, look at the numbers right there, 2.33 or 0.64 over the last 14 innings. But when he comes in, he's blowing it, man. He is the best word used right. He's an elite reliever in Major League Baseball right now, and the Dodgers depend on him, seemed like almost every night, but he comes through more often than not. Look at those numbers right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and just the bulldog mentality, just the fiery excitement. I said about 2 years ago, he came down to Oklahoma City, I was like, I can't watch this guy. He wears me out. He's an emotional wreck. It's like he's worried about everything. I was so wrong. Actually, what that was is that's the competitive side of it, of him. There's some people that they like to keep that. Trust me, like Jack Little is a guy who just got released. I hate it for him. But I'm super excited to get Luke and Baker in the organization. We saw Luke and Baker way too much with TCU kick OSU's ass. I mean, OSU went like a 4-year span while Luke and Baker was there, and I don't think we beat TCU one single time. A couple of times it was in the Big 12 tournament championship game. Luke and Baker is an awesome hitter. I hate it for Jack Little. I say that to say Jack Little's the guy that keeps everything in. So some guys are able to keep all that excitement and nerves and all of that. Coaches are the same way. Tom Osborne, he was able to stand there and look like nothing ever affects him, and he's just stoic and all that. And then other guys are like Barry Switzer and Jimmy Johnson. They're all fiery. But I'll say this, trust me, they both go through the same emotions. They're both feeling the same things inside. It's just one person handles it one way, another person handles it another. So Alex Vesey is just one of those guys that outwardly shows all the excitement. And as long as it's not negatively affecting the way that he pitches, like sometimes I think it does with Dustin May, I love it. I think it's just absolutely awesome. So as we come down the stretch of our show here before we get to our Down the Farm, we have a comment on Adam Serwinowski. Yes, we're going to get to him on Down the Farm. We're going to get to Bobby Miller. We're going to let Coach Holt go here in just a minute. We have Julian Fernandez. We have Jackson Ferris. We have Logan Wagner. We have Chin Shin Ko. We've got Chase Harlan. We just have an awesome Down the Farm, so stick around for that. Okay, so our last topic here is stays in the bullpen. Alexis Diaz, I think the Dodgers pulled up the wrong guy. I think they should have brought up Julian Fernandez. I thought he was pitching better. But because of the track record of Alexis Diaz, I get it. So your thoughts on him? I'll say this. I was worried in Oklahoma City he wasn't throwing enough strikes, but he was getting chased. I was curious what would happen if Major League hitters made him throw strikes, and I think we saw that last night.
Yeah, I think your concerns are warranted. What you saw in Oklahoma City, we're seeing it here too. You know, we have so much trust in the Dodgers front office making those decisions that they usually always make great decisions. They went off like you said, I think the experience this guy had as he came in, he's had some experience as opposed to Fernandez. So
yeah, he's been an all-star 2 years ago. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. This guy's got a history of being being a good major league pitcher. So you can't really fault him for that. Maybe trying to catch lightning in a bottle, whatever you want to call it, but. Yeah, it didn't look very good last night, and it may end up being, something that they have to make another move on that.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if that one lasts. I don't know. Alexis Diaz, I think he brings some uniqueness, and I mentioned that on yesterday's show, and he had been pitching well. We'll see how it goes. Again, it's just one outing, and it can go sideways real fast in relief. So, Coach, hey, this has been a lot of fun. So let's get some of your final thoughts before we get to the Down on the Farm.
Oh, it's been great to be back with you, Kay. It's been a busy time over here with school starting. It's no different. I'm no different than anybody else. You're getting ready to start school. I know next week you guys get started and things kind of pick up in your life and that sort of thing. And me and you both lost a good friend of ours in Stillwater, and at last good, outstanding man has kind of, changed some things up and things I had going on over the weekend. So it kind of puts things in perspective. You look around and everybody's got things going on in their life. We forget these major leaguers do too, all this stuff they got going on. So it was great to get back on there and talk with you about the Dodgers. Can't wait to watch them play the Cardinals this afternoon and hopefully go ahead and take the series. But always great to talk to you and talk to the Dodgers and talk to our Dodger dogs. I'm glad that they all came on with us. Look forward to our next time together, and go Dodgers.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, Coach. They're at school. I'm not at school yet. Enjoy talking to the OSSA for the rest of the day, right?
Oh, my God. Yes, I will.
Hey, Coach Holt, I love you.
Love you too, Case. Take care.
All right, let's not waste more time. Let's get right to it. Let's take a trip down on the farm. Welcome to Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. So glad you decided to stick around for all the prospect talk down on the farm. We're going to start with AAA Oklahoma City, and who you're looking at right here is one Mr. Bobby Miller, and he has transitioned into the bullpen in relief, and it has been very successful after a outing or two, the first outing or two in bullpen relief. Went a little bit sideways, no big deal. He has been very good in the bullpen, and then last night needed just 6 pitches to get through his one inning that he threw against the El Paso Chihuahuas, the AAA affiliates of the San Diego Padres. So here's the deal with Bobby Miller. He threw to weak contact with the 6 pitches. You can see him right there. I think he was wanting to throw a little bit more in terms of his outing and just being on the mound more. So he threw to weak contact, and then he also threw his changeup. So those are 2 things I think you need to really look forward to. There's a curveball there. He did flip in a slider and a curveball, but there's a changeup there. More changeups, and then just more of an overall philosophy of pitching to weak contact. So I think those are two things that you can look forward to with Bobby Miller, and last night it was very successful. His last 3 outings in relief have been very good as well. So super excited about where Bobby Miller is at right now in his progression to transitioning over to a bullpen arm. Now, that doesn't mean he'll be in the bullpen forever. Maybe they fix him, then they feel like they can move him back into a starting role because they feel like with his lightning bolt of a right arm and the way that he can sequence, the amount of pitches he has, that he's being wasted in relief at some point. But for now, he's in the pen. Same with Julian Hernandez, who I've been telling you for a long time is very, very, very impressive for AAA Oklahoma City. This is a guy that's been around for a minute, but to me, I have never seen him throw better than what he's throwing right now. Julian Hernandez, 100 miles an hour, and also the changeup you just saw. That changeup has cut to it instead of fade, and so it is. Look at that pitch there. That is a dirty pitch. So as good as the fastball is for Julian Hernandez, the changeup is equally as good. The ERA is down to 3.08. He's gone scoreless in 7 outings in a row. So Julian Hernandez continues to impress for AAA Oklahoma City. I will be surprised if he does not get another chance to help the big club at some point. We saw last night Alexis Diaz. I've been on record that I think they pulled up the wrong guy. I've said that a couple of different times. I think Julian Hernandez was the one that was pitching better. I think he's the better pitcher right now. So we'll see if he gets another chance. And here's another guy. You probably, maybe you have, maybe you haven't heard of him. Another quad A guy that has major league experience on a minor league contract. Came to the Dodgers about a month ago, struggled mightily at the beginning of his tenure in the Dodgers system. I've had a chance to talk to this young man a couple of different times about his JUCO career there in Florida at State College of Florida. Lots of different Dodgers actually went to that JUCO. It's a powerhouse JUCO. This is CJ Alexander. Young man, again, with major league experience, minor league contract, 3 hits on Sunday, 2 doubles, his 12th home run. And I mean, that home run there that you're seeing, that was a bomb. So talking about his major league experience, 25 major league at bats. So again, he's been on the DFA train. He got DFA'd by both the last 2 teams that he's been with, including the A's and the Yankees. Just continues to just keep going. So a nice little sweet swing from CJ Alexander. And on that same theme of players in the Dodgers system that are on a minor league contract and are with AAA Oklahoma City, but that have major league experience, Nick Senzel is another guy that you need to keep an eye on. This is a guy that has been hitting very, very well. Last night he had another multi-hit game for AAA Oklahoma City. He's hitting .268. He's another guy like Alexander. He got brought over. Senzel's been over for a couple of months, but he got off to a really slow start. Started with Tulsa for the first 3 or 4 games, and then has really kicked it in gear. Matter of fact, he has hits in 3 of his last 4 games. He has 2 multi-hit games in his last 4 as well, and that's on the heels of hitting .318 in July. So Nick Senzel, again, lots of major league experience, playing well right now for AAA Oklahoma City. Another quad A guy that you need to keep your eyes on because he is playing very well, and we know that the Dodgers love that experience. I mean, that's the reason, in my opinion, that Alexis Diaz got the call, because of his track record and his experience. So keep an eye on Nick Senzel and CJ Alexander, who we covered there for AAA Oklahoma City from the position player side. And moving down to Double-A, Jackson Ferris. Good outing last night. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He struggled early on, basically with command. He gave up some hits, and you're like, okay, well, is this going to be the Jackson Ferris that struggled mightily till about 4 starts ago? Or is Jackson Ferris going to figure it out, gain control of his command, and end up having a good outing? How about the latter? He worked through it. So that outing last night was exciting for me because it did not blow up in his face like some of the outings this year have done to him, and he worked through it and ended up giving his team a good outing. Kind of an example, he gave up 6 hits in 5 innings and just 1 walk. So he minimized what he could control. He controlled what he can control. Sometimes when the ball comes off the bat as a pitcher, you can't control where that ball goes. So control what you can control. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 innings, and just 2 earned runs for Jackson Ferris. So with tonight's outing, Ferris has given up just 4 runs in his last 29.1 innings. That's a 1.23 ERA, and he has 31 strikeouts in that 29.1 innings. So this has been a great year for Jackson Ferris, and not because it's been great. It has not. It's gotten a lot better lately. It's been a great year because he has struggled, and he has had to figure out how to get over the struggles, get to the other side of them, and continue to grind and just kind of be normal. You know, he's been so good for so long that I think sometimes players forget when they're top prospects what it is like to struggle. Not for Jackson Ferris this year. He's had to figure it out. He's had to move on, and he has squarely done that. So that's very exciting from that perspective for Jackson Ferris. And another guy that's had to figure out how to deal with struggles, treasure trove of tools we talk about all the time on the position player side, that is Chris Newell. Hey, let's go Chris Newell. How about this? 3 hits last night, hitting streak of 7 games, on-base streak of 20 games, 3 multi-hit games in his last 4, and he's 5 for 14 in August. Again, a young man that has every tool in the world, and if he could just put it together, mainly on the offensive side of the ball, because that's where he struggled the most. The defense has been there for the most part. Like he's been doing lately, watch out, because this is a big-time talent. I say it all the time. You can go through Zaire Hope. You can go through Josue DePaula. You can go through Mike Sirota. None of them have more tools or more explosive or higher-end tools than Chris Newell. And if Chris Newell puts it together from an offensive consistency perspective, this guy turns into a big-time prospect. So good to see him hitting very well as of late. And talking about a guy that just hits well all the time, my boy from Oklahoma State, who just is an awesome offensive player, awesome athlete, awesome baseball player, all in all, a little guy that's not really a little guy. This is Zach Earhart, who the Dodgers just got back for Dustin May, and he just hits and hits and hits. He can play all 3 outfield positions. He can be a leadoff guy to set the table. He can be in your four hole and drive in runs. Like I say, he can be a little guy, and he can not be a little guy, whatever you ask him to do. Bottom line is, this dude, Zach Earhart, can just absolutely flat hit. And so super excited that the Dodgers brought him over. Kind of flattered that they thought enough of him to bring him over as a return for Dustin May, because he is just a really great baseball player, and I will never miss an opportunity to tell Dodgers fans just how good he is. And I'll tell you another guy that the Dodgers fans need to understand how good he is and how good he has been is Cole Myers. 3 hits last night for Double-A Tulsa, 5th home run for Double-A Tulsa, this one opposite field, Oppo Taco. 291 for Cole Myers, OPS of 800. But again, one of the fastest players in the system. How about this? Not only the home runs, not only the batting average, on-base percentage of 420 for Cole Myers. That will play for a guy with the speed that he has. And he has hits in 5 of his last 6 games. He has 4 multi-hit games in his last 6 played. And he has 10 for his last 24 with a home run and 5 runs scored. So one thing about this with Cole Myers is, with all the top prospects in the system, it's easy to overlook a guy like this. Do not do that. Cole Myers is a very, very, very good baseball player. He will continue to show that. So make sure and don't overlook him. Give him the respect that he deserves. And if you do that, I think you will see that he can hold his own, even with the top prospects that the Dodgers have in the system in terms of outfielders. Talking about a guy that you should never overlook, and that should be a top prospect, Carson Hobbs. This dude is electric, with a fastball that can reach 100, with a curveball that, in my opinion, is an 80 grade curveball. That's my grading on it. That's his get me over. I guarantee you he has a much better curveball than that. That's just, I mean, for a get me over though, that's an 80 grade get me over. And then whenever he throws his curveball that he wants to actually get swing and miss, it gets even dirtier than that. And then he has a fastball that can approach 100. Super competitive, good slider. Overall ERA for Carson Hobbs, 1.99 on the year. His whip is 0.82, and coming into last night, he had not allowed a base runner he did not allow a base runner last night, so that whip will be coming down probably around 0.77. So Carson Hobbs, totally electric. He's been absolutely automatic for the Double-A Tulsa Drillers, and then he just got called up. That was his third outing last night for the Drillers. So mostly with the Great Lakes Loons. Exciting to see the right arm of Carson Hobbs and how good he has been. Talking about arms, how about the left arm and the debut in the Dodgers system for one Mr. 6'5" Adam Serwinowski? And one thing that you will realize here is that he has a very unique windup and unique delivery. Kind of hops and just it's something that you don't see every day. So he has some uniqueness. He was about 93 to 95, 96 on the fastball last night. But how about the results? 6.1 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, 9 strikeouts, 4 walks. Again, fastball 93 to 96. He threw to both sides of the plate, so he had a lot of east and west in his game last night. He also threw the top and bottom of the zone, so he had a lot of north and south in his game. He also had a cutter, a slider, and a slurve. Now, I don't know if that's what he calls them, but that's what the shapes were that he was throwing last night with his secondaries. I will I'll message either him or Sean Coyne. I don't know Serwinowski, obviously, at all, so it'd be just one of those dry messages like he'd be like, who the hell is this? So I might message his pitching coach, which is Sean Coyne, and see what the actual terminology is for Serwinowski. But how about this? Adam Serwinowski, in his debut in the Dodgers system, struck out the first 5 hitters that he faced and faced just 4 hitters above the minimum. Against 6.1 innings last night for Serwinowski. He gave up just 1 hit, no runs, 9 strikeouts, and 4 walks. How about that for Adam Serwinowski, again, in his Dodgers debut in terms of being in the system last night for the Great Lakes Loons. That was a lot of fun to watch. I guarantee you that. Certainly live. And so Chase Harlan and Ching Shin Ko last night put on a pretty fun sequence. This is Ching Shin Ko for the Single-A Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. You see the 6'5" outfielder, good athlete from Taiwan, get a base hit, and then 3-2-1 kapow. Look at that power from Chase Harlan. Very flat swing with a pitch up in the zone. Super excited about the power potential for Chase Harlan. So I wanted to show you a fun sequence between 2 of the top prospects in the Dodgers system, Ching Shin Ko and Chase Harlan. Ko's hitting 300 since he joined Rancho. Ko's hitting 357 overall. And for Harlan, that was home run number 8. That was the second home run he's hit with the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. And he's hitting 286, OPS of 869 with Rancho. So a fun sequence there in showing Ching Shin Ko and Chase Harlan, 2 of the top prospects in the Dodgers system. And another young guy that might soon be a top prospect because he is pitching really, really well for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. Big old dude, Justin Chambers, the Dodgers got him back for Brian Hudson. The way his ball moves, yes, it's about 93, 94, which isn't just extremely off the charts, but the way his ball moves, it's going to have a much higher effective velocity. So like an inside pitch, hitters have to time earlier. An outside pitch, they have to time later. So if you start a 94-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle and it stays down the middle, a hitter has to time 94. But if it breaks to the inner part of the plate, then the hitter has to speed up and time about 97, 98. So you're changing the timing in mid-flight for hitters and vice versa. If you start a fastball down the middle at 94 and it breaks to the outer half, now hitters are having to slow down to about a 90, 91 mile an hour speed to be able to barrel it up properly and have great timing. So just by moving the ball east and west, you are changing hitters' timings with the ball in mid-flight. So a 94 can look anywhere from 98 to 90, all on the same pitch based on where it moves to. That's called effective velocity. And Justin Chambers is fantastic at that. So 2 innings pitched last night for the 6'5" lefty. 1 hit, no runs, 4 strikeouts, no walks. The fastball was simply fantastic. The slider was burying into the back foot of right-handers, and it buried left-handers as well. So very dominant outing last night for Justin Chambers. So that's going to do it for today's Down the Farm. I want to thank you for tuning in to our show today. Thank you to Coach Holt for joining as well. So until next time, which will be tomorrow, with one Mr. Mark Watkins, who's going to be in Rancho this week and do some coverage on the Quakes. I want to thank you for tuning in and remind you it's a great day to be a Dodger.